in nature, there are a lot of things that it just doesn't address. You can see the power of God. You can see the order, the brilliance, the love of beauty. But you know, it's hard to see if you only have the book of nature, how God is able to renew hearts. Now, these are pictures of my daughter. Here's a picture of Candice at the zoo. I took her there. We looked at the elephants and, you know, and the rhinoceros and the different animals. She liked that. And I'd buy cotton candy and feed it to her. She liked that too. I know it's not good for you. Sorry, back then I didn't know. And took her to Stone Mountain. This is a picture. We climbed Stone Mountain, and it's a beautiful view. Candice is more interested, I think, in me than the view. And she didn't see me very often. But when she was 3 years old, 2, 3, I started to see her more. She was born just before my first wife and I were divorced. So that was kind of one of the casualties of the breakup of that relationship. You know, often we don't appreciate the treasure that we have in human relationships until we've lost them. I remember once I was doing a lifestyle program in the Caribbean, and I was working with a man. He wasn't a Christian, has some real health-destroying habits. And we would walk every morning, did the lifestyle program down there. We would walk in the morning, and after a few days, we had a nice relationship. He liked me. I liked him. We got to be close in just a few days. And as we're out on our walk, he asked me, he said, "What is on your wish list?" I'd never heard that word before. And I said, "Well, what's a wish list?" He said, "Things that a man wants that he can't have." And I said, "Well, you know, I don't have anything. I have everything that I want." He said, "Every man has a list of things that he desires, but he does not have." And I said, "Well, I got 2 things on my list. The first is I need a new heart. Create me a clean heart, O Lord. I need a new heart." But of course, the man I was with could not give it to me, and he knew that. He said, "Well, what's number 2 on your list?" And I said, "I want a relationship with my daughter. Haven't seen her in a long time, almost 20 years. I want a relationship with my daughter." And he just looked at me, puzzled. And he said, "Let's walk." Because he knew and I knew what I wanted he could not give me. After my ex-wife, moved away, I didn't see my daughter, had no interaction, no communication for more than a decade, almost. And then when there was some communication, my daughter wanted to see me, wanted a short visit with me. We'd meet in a shopping mall. And we did. Here's a picture of her. It's about the way she looked during that time. Here's a picture of me. This is the way I looked during that visit. And so we met for about 15 minutes in a shopping mall south of Atlanta. And after the visit, my first wife reiterated to me what she'd said the first time. If she ever wants to see you, she'll call you. Don't call us. And that was my visit. Now, at that time, I had no Christian experience. What I was sharing with my daughter, it made no sense. You know, it was just nothing. And of course, she was just stunned after not seeing me in so many years. And the way I looked was kind of shocking too. And that was it. Now, after that, years later, I got an experience with the Lord. And that's when I began to realize what I had lost in that relationship. And I began to pray morning and night that God would restore that relationship. Now, perhaps you are faced with the same challenge. It could be your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, somebody, a sibling, some aunt, some uncle, and you have no relationship whatsoever, but you desire one. You know, and the roadblock is not on your part, it's just something in their hearts that they cannot receive you as a friend, perhaps because of how you've hurt them and wronged them in the past. And that's the situation I was in, but I can tell you God has a plan. It may be a long-range plan, but they that wait upon the Lord, 40:31 of Isaiah, shall renew their strength. Often it takes a lot of patience as God works to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children. It's not instant. So, met Candice in the shopping mall, and then later my Christian experience. God found me. 1 John 4:19, I love Him because He first loved me. He found me, turned my heart, and as my heart turned to Him, it also turned to my daughter, and began to try to seek a relationship with her. And then finally, after that trip in the Caribbean, where my wish list it could not be fulfilled by this man, I got home, and as I was walking one morning, and I was praying, I said, Lord, I pray for my daughter every morning, every night. I said, Lord, I just really want to see her. I had this impression that I should contact her and ask her if I can come for a visit. And I did. I contacted her and I said, Candice, what do you think? Maybe I'll come up and we can visit together for just a short visit. And she said yes. I had not seen her in almost 20 years. When I saw her last, she was about 12. Now she's about 32. And she said yes. And she said, bring your wife. So Darlene and I, we got tickets. We went up to Virginia to visit my daughter. Got her address, put it in the GPS, found the house. And I tell you, friends, I was scared to death. My knees were knocking. I was so nervous. In my heart, I guess I expected to see my daughter as she was when she was 12 years old. But as I knocked on the door, there was a glass, it's like a screen door, but it had glass in it. And the door opened up and it was her. But she wasn't 12 years old anymore. It was a grown woman looking at me and I'm looking at her. And this is my daughter. And it was the strangest feeling. I think one of the strangest feelings I've ever had. And then she invited me in, sat in the living room, and she'd made supper that night. In our conversation, we talked about diet, told her I was a vegetarian. She made a nice vegetarian meal. And her husband was there. She had 2 children, my grandchildren, 2 children there. And so there wasn't any real serious conversation. It was just more about the weather and, our workplace and what we do in school and different things. But the next morning, we went out and we had breakfast together. And Candice was sitting across the table from me, directly in front of me. Darlene was sitting beside me. And, it's just kind of a silence. And Darlene said to Candice, is there anything that you want to ask your father? And she looked me right in the eye and she said, how could you leave me when I was just a baby? Of course, I gave her an honest answer. I said, utter selfishness. But this is the challenge that we all face if a relationship is broken apart. We cannot heal it. We cannot fix it. No matter what you say or what you do, unless the Lord gives that divine remedy in the heart to heal soul sickness, you'll never have a closeness. You'll never have a atonement, an at-one-ment in the relationship. So today, my relationship with my daughter, it's not what I want it to be. But I'm forever hopeful. Romans 8:24 says we're saved by hope. I'm hopeful. Not what I can do, but what God can do. My part, God has made it clear. I'm to love my daughter. I'm to pray for my daughter. I'm to do any and all things that I can to try to heal the relationship, but that's not enough. Without God, 2 hearts can never be united into one. So that is the miracle that I'm praying for. And if you're faced with the same kind of challenge, dear friends, don't give up. Don't lose faith. Keep persevering and looking unto Christ, the author and finisher of our families. Hope you have a blessed day. And again, if you're facing a challenge in your home, I know somebody that can help you. May the Lord bless you today in all that you do.